Joining us today on Travers Talks is Callie Barr, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 1st Congressional District. She's running to bring a fresh voice to Northern Michigan, focusing on healthcare, jobs, veterans, and protecting our natural resources. So let's listen to Callie's vision with our host, Jim Horn.
Callie Barr, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. My kids are back in school, so as a mom, there's always that feeling like, oh, I got one in high school and junior high now. It's sad, but at the same time, we're coming off summer where they were completely feral and driving me nuts. So,
yeah, the fear of every mom. More moms than dads, because dads always think, mom is going to take care of it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, want to talk about you running for the second time. You're going to step off the curb, and that's always a big deal. CD1, for a lot of people that don't realize it, is 24,000 square miles. It includes the UP and includes a lot of northern Michigan. It's a lot of work, folks. Let's talk about it, Callie. What are your thoughts about running again, and what are your aspirations? What do you want to get done this time?
Yeah, thank you. I ran last cycle, and what was really great about that run, really, is that we were able to build some structure and infrastructure in this district. And we saw that we had in this area made movement here that we haven't had. In my race, flipped Leelanau County, we increased our raw vote total. And what I really saw here, particularly this year, was that we just see the urgency and the importance of running again when we have such an absent congressman who has made votes that are really unforgivable for a district like ours. When you vote to decrease funding for essential programs like Medicaid, which funds our hospitals, food assistance for hungry families, kids, veterans, and you do that by giving tax breaks to billionaires and increasing the national debt. I have already felt a sea change in this district that folks are already feeling the unfairness and the pain in that. I mean, Jack Bergman has not had a public town hall in over 8 years. So to run again, to me, we can hit the organizing piece a whole lot harder, and especially our field program, because it's something we've got folks that are just ready to go right now. And we're building off of what we were able to do last time. And so that feels really good.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you do have a field program, and you've got field offices now, and you probably didn't have that the first time around. And for folks that always wonder why somebody runs again, I think Kelly's comment is well-founded. When you're running for a major election like this, sometimes when you do it the first time, all of a sudden you find, hey, I should have tweaked this, I should have tweaked that, and so forth and so on. And coming back the second time is not a notification of failure. It's really a notification of success, in that, hey, I found out what we did wrong. I think we can do this a hell of a lot better next time. And by the way, this is an off-presidential election, which really bodes well for the Democrats. And I want to mention to you Democrats out there that didn't vote last time, 83,000 of you, okay? Find the voting machine, find the mail-in, let's get out and vote. But more importantly, I want to talk about a couple additional topics, Callie, and one is inequality. I want to read to you from a recent Wall Street Journal article. It says a new Wall Street Journal NORC poll finds that the share of people who say they have a good chance of improving their standard of living fell to 25%. That's a record low in surveys dating to 1987. More than 3/4 said they lack confidence that life for the next generation will be better than their own, the poll found. And then for those that on the podcast that don't follow statistics, here's something very interesting on wealth concentration in our country today. Hasn't always been like this. The top 1% hold 31% of U.S. wealth. The bottom 50%, just 2.6%. The top 10% own over 2/3 of household wealth. Bottom half only 2.5%. Just 800 U.S. families control nearly $7 trillion, more than the bottom 50% combined. Callie, we got a problem. Talk to me.
We do. We have a major problem. And this is something that's been occurring across administrations. We continue to see the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. There are comparisons, I think right now, accurate comparisons to the early 1900s, where you had a change in technology, you had accompanying massive income inequality. And right now, what we see is this is exacerbated, it's made worse by representatives like Jack Bergman, who are then giving tax cuts to the already extraordinarily wealthy people in this country, and doing that by making it harder for everyday folks, by continuing to take away wealth and opportunity from people who are working every day. And we see that by the cuts to Medicaid, for instance, to food assistance, but also a tax on labor unions and working people. Of course, we can accredit labor unions with building the middle class in America by making sure that we had job protections, that we had an 8-hour workday, that we had weekends, that we had fair wages, living wages. Right now, we have a lot of folks living in a gig economy where they don't have protections, right? Where maybe you're driving Uber, you're picking up work here and there just to try to stay afloat. But that doesn't mean that you're going to have a retirement, right? Or when you get sick, that you're not going to go bankrupt. We have a problem here, and we see that in our politics. When this district, even our ALICE stats, that means asset limited, income constrained, like our working poor, are very high throughout this district. And so for me, running is really about fighting so that folks in this district just have a chance to be able to afford to live a life. That's it. Just afford to live a life. And I use an acronym right now. L is for local housing. I is for income, that you can actually afford to have an income, meaning you need childcare to help you go to work. We need to protect our unions and working people. F, we need food. We need to protect our farmers. And E, we need essential healthcare and essential care for our veterans. We just need to be able to afford to live a life, that we're not asking for much. But I know, and I come from people, that we're the ones who built this country. We're the ones who fight its wars. And this country needs to work for us, not just the few.
Yes, indeed. And I hope the split, I don't know if it can get much worse than what it is today, but the middle class certainly is almost gone. And we're feeding ourselves from hand to mouth, unfortunately. There are a lot of progressive policies that could be put in place to stop this. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what I'd say is that it doesn't have to be this way. It's this way because that's a policy choice that has been made over time. And we know that there's been corporate takeover of both political parties. And so when we want democracy to work, when we want a government that works for people, we need something that's actually representing people and not just corporate interests and not just our very few billionaires. If we look at just even tax policy, the top 1% tax rate in 1960 was 90%. 90%. And so when we hear people say we need to go back to the time when America had a booming economy, the tax rate for the top 1% again was 90%. It's now 37%, right? The corporate tax rate has gone from 52% during that same time to 21%. So when we look at the policies that we've created, it has directly related to this massive shift in where the money's going. We're the wealthiest country on earth, and everyone else deserves a share of this. You should be able to work hard and be able to put a roof over your head and food in your fridge.
So another thing that I've been thinking about, and the final question, is that we get this a little bit confused, religion or faith and politics. We're a region here in Michigan with many traditions, church pews, synagogues, mosques, and none at all. And voters wonder how those beliefs fit into policy, particularly, obviously, the political candidates. How do you balance your own convictions with representing everyone, regardless of their faith?
It's such a great question because we're living in a time right now where we see religion sort of entering politics as its own legislative kind of pull that we have people who want to look to, say, the Bible for what they want to use for a secular government. And I comment on that because just not too long ago, we had the Secretary of Defense of the United States, of the most powerful military in the world, retweet something from a pastor, from a far-right pastor, who was saying that women shouldn't vote. And he copied this and he put all of Christ for all of life. And now I have 2 daughters. I'm also running for office. I think I'm an equal citizen. I want my daughters to grow up knowing they're equal citizens in this country, that they have a right to vote. That was a hard-fought victory. And when I think about religion, I grew up here in Traverse City and Sheboygan. I grew up a conservative, Christian, religious person. My faith is very important to me. My husband's a combat veteran, and I can tell you that I've been through really dark times, and my religion has meant a whole lot to me. But what I will tell you is that I believe very strongly in the First Amendment, which says that we have a secular government. The government does not establish any religion. And that's what's the beauty of America, right? It's that we can live in peace with one another, that you can worship in the way that you choose. And I think sometimes we get folks in areas like ours where we have a majority probably Christian faith who think, what's so wrong with that? What's so wrong with looking at the Bible or trying to push this type of government? And what I would tell you is that if you look at what's happening right now with Project 2025, which was made by the Heritage Project, pushed by Christian nationalists, that is a certain form of Christianity that is not mainstream. It's extremist. It's something that says women shouldn't be in leadership positions, women shouldn't vote. That is not freedom, right? My husband fought religious extremists overseas, and we're going to fight them here too, because that's not the promise of America. And coming from a military family where we had all faiths, where we had folks who gave their lives to this country, who were Jewish, who were Muslim, who were agnostic, they are not less Americans because of how they worshiped. That the promise is that you can worship in the way that you want, and you're an American because what binds us is something that's so much stronger than that. Our differences are what make us strong, right? We're not great despite them, we're great because of them. And when I see this idea that we have to establish some kind of unified idea of any type of religion in this country, I think we need to be very alarmed by that, and we need to be talking about it. Especially, I think I have a role in that too, because I'm a Christian, and I think that we need to be very clear about keeping a separation between church and state. Our founding fathers did that because they saw the chaos and instability that caused in Europe prior to forming a government here in the United States.
What do you want the voters to know? I know we've got the primary coming up in April, general election obviously next year, and it looks like it's a long way away, but folks, it's not a long way away, because there's 83,000 of you that have to find the polling place. Anyway, right. Anyway, Callie, what would you like to wrap up with and let the voters know before we go?
Yeah, please get on my website. It's CallieForCongress.com, CallieFor Congress.com. Sign up to volunteer. Help us out. This is an all-hands-on-deck moment. In the past several months, we've seen how motivating and powerful fear, hatred can be. But I know that when you fight for what you love, that's a very powerful thing. And that's what this campaign's about. We're fighting for the people we love. We're fighting to have a chance to be able to live, to be able to afford to have a life. And I need your help in that endeavor. So join us, volunteer. If you can donate, please donate to the cause. I need you.
And for those folks going to the Obama dinner on October 3rd, you can meet Callie there. I understand, according to Facebook, that she will be at the dinner presenting, so you can shake her hand and talk a little bit more about her thoughts and going forward. Callie, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah, thank you.